won't name the source, but somebody told me that the Broncos did not put Bo Nix on the IR. And there is a real possibility because of his surgery apparently went really well. It's a renowned surgeon in Alabama that took care of it. Mm-hmm. Is there a possibility that Bo Nix can play in the Super Bowl if they win?
Yeah, there's a possibility that I could join in and play football too. I'm 40 years old and haven't played football in 20 years. So there's always that possibility that it can happen. I mean, look, you want to give me that check, I'll be out there on the field right now. I think there's a better possibility that I will be on the field than Bo Nix will be on the field for the rest of the season. I'll put it that way.
Well, hello, Wonder Fanatics. Welcome back to the Wonder Fan Show. Happy Friday, January 23rd, the Friday before AFC NFC Championship weekend. This is the Wonder Fan Show, sponsored by the Wonder Fan app, the best and fastest growing sports fan rewards app out there. I'm Henry Markin. This episode is devoted to Broncos Country. I know we haven't had the best relationship all year. I've kind of poo-pooed the Broncos every single week. Every opportunity I've had to fade the Broncos, I've done it. I've done it. Guilty as charged. And, you know, I've been wrong. So many times this year. I was really wrong about the Bears. Dog Bears showed me that I'm delusional and the biggest idiot, you know, in sports media. I was so wrong about the Bears. I was really wrong about the Niners. Really, really wrong about the Niners. I was right about Indiana. But I think at that point, everyone was kind of on the Indiana train. Like, it was no longer cute that I was the Indiana guy. Like, that was annoying last year when people, I guess, weren't buying into Indiana, and I was still I've been at the wrong end of most of my takes. I have just been wrong. And the few that are right, well, it's like, yeah, no shit. Curt Cignetti. Everyone loves him. Google fixed their search engine feature. When you type in Curt Cignetti, now it just said, yup, he won. So I can't take much credit for being right there. I've been wrong a lot, to put a bow on that. Speaking of bow, sorry. I'm sorry. I know it might be too soon to bring up any Bo Nix jokes. Bo, no, what happened? That wasn't funny. Broncos Country, this episode is for you. I want you to know. I'm going to talk a little bit about the Broncos, and then you're going to hear from three really awesome Denver members of the sports media. We have Joe Rico. He is part of the Mile High Sports community. He's an executive producer and host of The Final Word. We had Ben Allbright. He's on KOA. You hear him in the mornings talking all things Broncos football. And then, of course, we have Justin Adams, who's on Denver CBS Sports affiliate. So, great media presence today on Wonder Fan. All Denver, talking the Broncos gospel. Broncos Country, you're bleeding orange and blue today on the Wonder Fan Show. I will say this. I saw the game at a bar on Saturday last week. It was Bills-Broncos was the Saturday game before the Niners-Seahawks game. So I was in Niners mode. I was watching the game as a fan of football, Bills-Broncos, and I had the Bills winning. Just because I was drinking the same Kool-Aid everybody else was. It's like this was Josh Allen's year. No one's going to take this away from him. Certainly not Bo Nix. When I saw the pick catch, you know, one of the hosts that I bring on said it perfectly. I think it was Joe Rico that said, it's such a territorial debate. Wherever you live in the country reflects on how you view that play. Like if you're from the Northeast, that is a catch. However, if you're from the Mountain West, that's an interception. If you hate Denver, that's a catch. If you're sympathetic to Broncos Country, let's ride, that's a pick. And if you don't care, it's probably still a catch. Right? If you just like, I want to see Josh Allen, it's a catch. What I will say is I can't imagine the fan experience that Broncos Country went through. I mean, you just sent Josh Allen home. You just stole his bid. That was his AFC to lose, and you stole it. Just like you stole his play, that interception, you stole his shot. You probably were on top of the world. You kick it through the uprights, you win. It's actually over. You can't believe it. You're at the bar. You're going crazy. Everyone mile high. They're losing their mind. You can get drunk pretty quickly in Denver because of the altitude. You're out of this world happy. You probably place an order of shots, tequila, Jaeger, peanut butter whiskey, whatever, wets your whistle, right? And then you put your credit card on the beeper. Tap. You got to tap again, sir. It didn't go through. Oh, sorry. Beep. One more time. Beep. You get the shots. You sit down. We're going to the AFC Championship. You're actually probably thinking, we're going to the Super Bowl, because you probably don't buy into Drake May, or you don't buy into CJ Stroud. Certainly not Stroud. We're going all the way. Clink. I promise you, the alcohol may not have even touched your tongue before you got that Adam Schefter notification. Right? Let me know if this was relatable. Feel free to like and share and whatever. Tell me this is you. You were probably one sip into your celebratory drink. You beat the Bills before you got that tweet from Adam Schefter. Bo Nix needs season-ending surgery. And now you're like, is that a darn Schefter? Is that a fake account? Nope, that's him. All millions of his followers and his other verified tweets. You're like sitting there with your shot that you either haven't taken yet or you just took it. And it's like, what? What the? I can't even imagine what that experience was like. I asked these media personalities, and they all have 3 very different responses, which I think is so awesome. So this is a good episode for you if you want to relive that. And like most Denver fans who probably went from extreme high to just pure shock, it probably was shock. Not anaphylactic, but, just shock. I felt the same way for you guys. Like, my first thought is, season's done. It's done. Jarrett who? Stidham? No, you're done. The more I let this marinate, a few days go by, I read into Jarrett Stidham a little bit more. All of the Denver media, they came to his support. And basically, you guys put together just an outstanding wave of positivity and support for Jarrett Stidham. I am now on the Jarrett Stidham train. And it took a few things for me. Number one, have to remember this. At the end of the day, and it's said in this show, you'll hear it from the guys themselves, the main constant I hear about comparing Jarrett Stidham to Bo Nix is that while Bo Nix is great, he's obviously upper echelon quarterback in the NFL. You can't accidentally get the 1 seed. You can't accidentally outduel Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Justin Herbert, all these other guys this entire year. You can't accidentally do that. No matter how good your defense is, which, by the way, it's pretty good, but it's not like the Seahawks defense. There are plenty of holes in Denver. You still need to do something as a quarterback. Bo Nix to Jarrett Stidham is not as big as a drop-off as you might think. Here's my analogy. Bo Nix, if we're talking cars, like a parking lot full of cars, you got luxury cars, you got sports cars, you got lemons, and you have damn near bicycles. Bo Nix is probably not a Ferrari or a Lamborghini. That's too flashy. In fact, sometimes it's impractical, Bo Nix is like a Lexus, an Audi, He's great. It's a great luxury car. It's safe. It can be fast. It gets the job done. But it also looks nice, too. It looks nice while doing it. There's no like, oh, yeah, I wish it. No, like he throws a great ball. He moves well. He doesn't get sacked. He looks great playing great, right? It's not ugly. And I will say the Jarrett Stidham component is that he's like a Toyota Corolla, right? It's no bicycle. He didn't go from a car to a bike or a car to, I got to run to the train station. No, you still have a car. And it's a good car. It's a solid car. It's definitely not as flashy. It doesn't have as many sport mode features. But it's safe, and it will probably get you to your destination. The other thing about Jarrett Stidham that we completely forgot is he was drafted by New England in a time period that New England is kind of thinking about the future, the heir to the Tom Brady empire. Was Jarrett Stidham drafted by New England to be the successor of the Patriot dynasty? Probably not. After all, Mac Jones is the lead frontrunner of that movement. That was kind of the plan, was Mac Jones is the next Tom Brady. Of course, that didn't work out. And then Drake May happened. And so now Drake May has indirectly assumed the successor of what Boston fans believe is a New England dynasty resume. But Jarrett Stidham was drafted in a time period in New England when they're thinking about the future. And with every draft pick that comes your way, especially one that is quarterback, there aren't many, we'll just see what sticks. This is a franchise that bred Tom Brady, okay? You don't just be like, well, we're going to draft Jarrett Stidham just for fun. No, you had plans that could have involved Jarrett Stidham at one point taking over the team. It didn't. And the timing of that worked out, and perhaps Mac Jones looked like a hotter commodity a year later. But Jarrett Stidham was drafted in 2019, May, which is a few months after the Patriots beat the Rams in the Super Bowl. Well, the following season, that's when the Patriots were quite dominant on defense all year, but then lost to Miami last week of the year, and then lost to the Tennessee Titans in the wild card round of the playoffs, and the next week Brady was gone. Jarrett Stidham was the next man up before they got Mac Jones. My point is Jarrett Stidham's not nobody. He's certainly not a fly on the wall that it's like, oh, well, you play quarterback. I've seen some Niner backup quarterbacks literally be handed the football. It's like, we have no one else. That's not Jarrett Stidham. Jarrett Stidham was in this Raiders umbrella when Josh McDaniels took over the Raiders. And you'll hear about it in the interviews coming up. I'll just say this one thing. Jarrett Stidham was moved with McDaniels to Las Vegas to be in this backup tree because he is, from what everyone has been saying, a phenomenal backup. One of the highest paid backups in football. And when it was time that Jarrett Stidham was available, one of the first moves Sean Payton made as an executive, as a member of the Denver Broncos, was getting Jarrett Stidham from Vegas. And what's crazy about that is that's probably made before Bo Nix was even a thought. You know, Bo Nix wasn't always going to be the guy in Denver because there was a few opportunities other teams could have drafted Bo Nix, like the Raiders, had the Falcons just acted accordingly and not drafted Penix months after signing Kirk Cousins for $50 million plus. Denver was not always going to be Bo Nix. There was a moment in Denver where Jarrett Stidham may have seen the field more. So if you're nervous about this game, Denver, remember this, Broncos Country. You've been winning ugly. This is not going to be a 350-yard, 4-touchdown Jarrett Stidham super showcase, right? At least I don't think so. Never say never, because I've been so damn wrong for so long. Broncos Country, your class of football is winning ugly and gross. Bo Nix looks great doing it, but there's a lot of gross football, a lot of gross possessions in between. Jarrett Stidham can probably get you to similar places Bo Nix can get you. At least that's what the tea leaves are saying. But enough about me. Broncos Country, I just want to let you know, no matter what happens this week, I feel like America has turned the corner and really embraced Jarrett Stidham and embraced, being an underdog. You all year have been kind of this gross favorite, and we're not really sure what you are. And, just when we can trust you, you lose to the Jaguars, who have been gone for quite some time. And, you have to forgive us in not really completely buying in to the Bo Nixissance, right? But I will say this. It's very easy to root for an underdog as a fan of Brock Purdy, as a fan of Steph Curry, who was looked over his entire career until he became the greatest shooter ever. He sometimes is still treated as an underdog. Underdogs are so fun to root for. And Jarrett Stidham is that guy. So this is me saying congratulations on a great season. Not because it's over or I think it's going to be done. No matter what happens, you can still earn rewards using the WonderFan app just for watching the game. Download WonderFan. But you could also appreciate this is not just you throwing the towel. This is not you taking a knee, folding like a lawn chair. You're still putting a pretty good foot forward with Jarrett Stidham. There's still a lot of reasons to want to go to the Stiddy party. The memes are great, by the way. Here are awesome interviews from, in order, Ben Allbright, Joe Rico, and Justin Adams. All right, I'm joined by Benjamin Allbright from KOA in Denver, big Broncos Country guy. Benjamin, talk to me like I'm a casual or a 5-year-old. How does Jarrett Stidham beat New England?
Well, there's no Popeye swallow a can of spinach Instacure thing, but Stidham's been around here for a while. He's been in this offense for 3 years. He knows the offense. It's not like they're going to have to pare down the playbook for him or anything like that. Um, he started a couple of games now. Granted, it was a couple of years ago when Russell Wilson got de facto benched. Or whatever they called it at the time. I can't remember now what they were saying. It was the offense needed a spark, so they brought in Jarrett Stidham, right? When they were protecting the contract stuff on Russ's thing. Jarrett Stidham. I don't think there's a huge drop off between him and Bo. You lose mobility, the running ability, that kind of stuff. So you're going to take a few more sacks. You lose the running ability, but in terms of overall football, I mean, Jarrett Stidham, he knows how to run this offense. He's been around a while. The offense, the arm is similar strength. And you got a guy who will hang in there, hang in the pocket, and step up and let plays develop. And that's the biggest knock on Bo. So, Bo kind of bails or he'll dump it down real fast. It doesn't take a lot of sacks, but he doesn't maybe let the plays develop where Jarrett Stidham will. So I think you're probably going to see. You'll see an offense that takes a few more sacks than they usually do, but what you're also going to see is an offense that probably takes a few more shots than they normally do, some more explosive plays, and the team remembering suddenly that Marvin Mims was on the roster last week certainly will probably help with that.
Yeah, that can't help. I did a little deep digging, and it sounds like that Sean Payton loves Stidham. Like, one of his first moves as a Bronco was acquiring Stidham from the Raiders, was it? Is that where he came from?
At the time, yeah, he had been he was drafted by New England, and then when Josh McDaniels went to the Raiders, he took Stidham with him over to the Raiders, and when his Raiders contract was up, yeah, Sean Payton, they brought him in. I think it was a 2-year, $11 million backup deal, the original one. They since signed him to another backup deal, and they value him. They value him in that quarterback room for his intelligence, and they think that he's a high end backup, low end starter caliber quarterback.
So, okay, I guess that's my next question is just at a confidence level, where are you with, as far as every starter in the league, because he's now a starter, what echelon is he in? Is he in top 16, bottom 16? Like with your Broncos goggles on, you can leave him. I just want to know, how are we feeling about Jarrett Stidham as a starter? Like, what's a good comparison?
Well, yeah, I don't think I put him in the top 16. But I would say that, he's certainly a better starter than, Justin Fields. He's better. You're going to win more games with Jarrett Stidham than Justin Fields. You're going to win more games with, I mean, you look at Geno Smith last year, I think, or this past year. I think Jarrett Stidham's better than that. So, I mean, there's like I said, if we don't really know because he hasn't had a ton of starts over the course of his career, what he is and what he isn't. But, we kind of have an idea based on watching him in camp and practice and everything else. And I would say that he's capable. You can win games with Jarrett Stidham. I'm not putting him in the same echelon as Matt Stafford anytime soon. But at the same time, I mean, go out there and win you a game or two. Yeah, he could do it.
Right. Okay. So I guess all you can do is beat who's in front of you. What is the message if you could paraphrase from what Sean Payton is saying, if they get past New England, how do you take on a team like Seattle or Los Angeles with Stidham and the Stiddy Party?
Well, I think you kind of just said it, honestly. And that's been the mantra all year for Denver. You don't have to be the highest scoring team in the world, just the highest scoring team in the stadium that day, right? And so you got to find a way to win that day. That's the message right now. They're not worried about the Super Bowl. They're worried about New England. You go in, you win that game, and then all of a sudden you found your way to the Super Bowl. Regardless. So it doesn't matter what anybody says about weakest number one seed. It doesn't matter what anybody says about strength of schedule, any of that kind of stuff. End of the day, you beat the teams that are put in front of you. You're going to wake up in the Super Bowl and go from there. And I think that's sort of the mantra is as they continue to look at this thing. It's like we've had a good defense. That defense has done a great job, and the offense has been good enough most of the year. I don't think you're losing a ton with Jarrett Stidham in there. So I think the message is just go do your thing and let the defense do its thing, and I think you're going to be fine.
How does Broncos Country feel about this season? It's a two-parter. So obviously, great season. You finish as the 1 seed. But what was sort of the immediate, I guess, reaction to beating the Bills, that insane euphoria of escaping Josh Allen and just putting them to bed for the year, and then finding out the news that Bo Nix went down? What was that 10-minute period like in Denver?
It was a roller coaster. There were a lot of people. Now, see, it's tough because I didn't have my pulse of the fan at that time. I was deep in the belly of the stadium when as it was happening in real time. So I was kind of there. In fact, I actually knew before he hit the stadium, before he hit the podium there to come back out. I just couldn't. Part of the restrictions that we have, we're the broadcast partner for the Broncos. So if I find things out by a means that not everybody has equal access to, I can't report that. That's part of the thing with being the broadcast partner. So I couldn't say anything. So I'm sitting there watching him go, watching him walk and head back up there and knowing what's coming. And there's this moment in the media room where there's kind of this hush fell over what was an excited media room.
Right.
And the energy kind of went out of it. And there was kind of this disbelief at first, are we being punked here? Is this some kind of Sean Payton joke that's going? And so there was kind of this, this atmosphere of this questioning it sort of thing. The fans, from what I understand, who were, I think most of them got the notifications on the phone and thought it was a joke, thought it was one of those Adarn Schefter accounts or, those kinds of things. Everybody I've talked to, because I got a bunch of texts. Right as that happened, just my phone, boom, 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 what is going on? Is this fake? Can you confirm? This kind of stuff. And I'm like, yeah, it's legitimate, man. And it was fascinating to sort of watch that dichotomy of emotion. I think Broncos fans had some people. Some people took it pretty hard, because I tried to tweet out hey, I don't think there's this huge drop off with Stidham. I think you can still win this next game. And the next thing I know, everybody in their mouth, oh, you hate Bo Nix. And I'm like, this isn't even a Bo Nix tweet. This is a Jarrett Stidham tweet. This is a pancakes and waffles tweet. And so I think there was some emotion from the fan base that night. I think a lot of people have just kind of settled into, well, we got Jarrett Stidham, whether I believe or not. And so what we're going to do is have some fun with it. And that's where you see the Stiddy City memes and all that kind of stuff come from. The fan base has really kind of rallied around the moment, I think. And that's a lot of fun.
That's what it looks like. It looks like that they're having an absolute blast right now. And, whether it is a form of grief or acceptance or whatever it is, the memes are phenomenal. My favorite one, I think he said it too, Stidham's favorite meme is the LeBron down 3-1 meme. I mean, I never thought I didn't think in a million years we would see Jarrett Stidham in the same, I guess, situation as LeBron. But the reality is that it's just win one game. Can you win one game? You already have one of the best defenses in football. I think the emotional response right away was probably appropriate, just because that is such a crazy swing. I mean, it's the roller coaster of emotions, as you suggested. You just won. You're going back to the AFC Championship. Oh no, your starter is done. You don't even get 5 minutes. The amount of time it took for the beer to hit your nervous system. It didn't happen quick enough. You got the bad news before you could even get drunk from celebration.
Hmm.
That's I was at a sports bar here in LA, and I was with all these Denver fans, and they hadn't gotten their shots yet. Like they were fired up about the win, and their buddy was waiting in line. He comes back with like 4 or 5 tequila shots, and he's like, "Let's go!" And like they literally put one down, and then everyone got the Schefter notification. So he took that sober. You know, he had to warm up to that drink. Do you have a similar?
Uh,
Obviously, you're in the media room, but I'm sure you have like a similar like, you know.
yeah, I mean, it's like I said, the energy went out of the room. There was confusion. Like it's interesting to sort of watch
Yeah.
a media room be confused. And I think the only time I think I've seen that phenomenon at that level was when Andrew Luck announced his retirement during the preseason. And
Yeah.
everybody in the room was like, "Is this a joke? Is this serious?" Like, is it like there were a bunch of people just kind of like, most of the time, I will say, like, there's not too much when you work on media. You kind of know most everything, and you kind of there's some stuff like you can't talk about or whatever, but you kind of know, and you're rarely surprised. And so those I think were probably the two biggest times I've seen a group of people just absolutely floored by something.
For sure, 100%. What do you think is going to happen this game? I mean, if you could give me a breakdown of what you could expect, you would be a ball knower if you got it right, and if you got it wrong, I won't press charges.
Well, we'll have to burn the tape, right? I I think you're going to see Denver come out attacking. I think you'll see them a deep shot in the first 4 plays. I think you're going to see them come out attacking. I think they're not going to back off anything with Jarrett Stidham. Like I said, I think the only thing that you're going to see a little bit different is they'll hand the ball off a little bit more, obviously, because Stidham can't run, and so it'll force Sean Payton to do that thing that he loathes, which is hand off to his running backs. But other than that, I mean, I think you're going to see a Denver team that attacks the middle of the field a little bit more, attacks down the field a little bit more, less of the screen plays that they've kind of run all year with Bo. And I think you're going to see a Denver team that probably surprises people. I think they can win. I mean, I have a ticket on the money line on Denver, and that's not people are like, well, you're a homer. I'm not from Denver. I moved out here like a decade ago to cover this team. I moved out here from Tampa. I'm not from here, so I don't have a fan rooting interest as far as that kind of stuff goes. I genuinely believe they can win. I think they match up well. You look at New England, and the left side of that offensive line is exploitable. They're a team that does get sacked a lot. The Broncos sack everybody, and so I think there's an opportunity to put New England behind the sticks and create some turnovers. New England's been had a little fumble problem this year. They haven't got intercepted a whole lot, but they've been intercepted a little bit lately. And I think there are some things that Denver can do to generate turnovers. And the question is whether Stidham and that offense can capitalize. And I don't think it's going to be a situation where it's like a normal backup where you're sitting there like, okay, we hope he gets to 180 yards and puts one in the end zone. I think Jarrett Stidham's over 200, over 200 yards passing, and I think he can get a pair of touchdowns.
Whoa, a pair. Okay, final question. This is an ambitious one. Let's say Jared Stidham does just that. He throws damn near a perfect game, and then he does the same thing in the Super Bowl, and he wins the Super Bowl for Denver is a city of champions once again because of Jarrett Stidham. What happens this offseason? Is it a quarterback controversy? Like, you know, sorry, Bo, I know I was your backup, but this is my job in my city now. Or is it still Bo's job and it's not exactly welcome to the city party?
Well, I think what you get is sort of more of a Nick Foles, Carson Wentz situation, where the job goes back to the other guy. It'll go back to Bo Nix. I think what you'd have is maybe inquiries around the league about Jarrett Stidham. Is he available for trade? We could use a bridge quarterback, that kind of stuff. I think, I think the question is where, and there's a few places where I think that he could fit. There's going to be places like Miami that's looking for something. The Raiders are probably going to draft a quarterback, but they'll be looking for a bridge guy. I don't know if he'd want to go back there or not, but there are going to be opportunities. So I think if he comes in and does stuff like that, I think the reality is the job's still Bo Nix, but at the end of the day, there'll be inquiries about him. Hey, is he available for trade?
Makes sense. Ben, thank you so much for your time today. I am pulling for Broncos country. It is Yeah, it would definitely be something. As far as the story goes, getting to talk more about Jarrett Stidham. I'm a Brock Purdy fan. I'm a 49ers fan, and so I love a good underdog story. How could you not root for the Stiddy Party?
Yeah, I'm rooting for it too. I mean, I'd love to cover Super Bowl, so that works out for me.
Sounds good. Thank you for your time. I'm now joined by Joe Rico, legendary radio host in Denver. Let me just say real quick, thank you so much for coming on. I know it's probably been hectic in Denver past week. How are we feeling? What are the thoughts and the vibes right now?
Well, I think that depends on who you ask, and thanks so much for having me on. I mean, if you were to ask me Monday how everybody felt, I thought there was still a lot of euphoria, kind of a hangover from Sunday. But as we get closer to the game, I don't know about everybody else, but I see the Broncos' hope of winning this football game as being a very low scoring, defensive type football game. I don't think anybody has any delusions of grandeur of Jarrett Stidham throwing for 450 yards or the Broncos winning a 41-38 shootout. I think if the Broncos want to win, they're going to have to hold the Patriots under 20 points, and that's the magic number I put. That if the Patriots exceed 20 points, then the Patriots will walk out of Denver as the AFC champions.
Okay, so you're not wearing the Broncos goggles then. You don't think this game is won because Jarrett Stidham goes for 300 yards, 4 touchdowns, and arguably takes the QB1 job next year?
No, in no way, shape, or form. Now with the guy who's throwing, I mean, just let's look at the facts. He's played in 4 games over the past 2 years. He's played in 4 games for his career starts. He's
Right.
played in no games. He's not even taken a snap in the last 2 years. And you understand how the NFL works. I mean, there's 3 speeds, right? There's preseason speed, there's regular season speed, and there's playoff speed. So you're asking a guy who's in preseason speed mode to jump in, to a game that's just, I mean, imagine you ever played a video game where the internet connection's bad for one guy, so one guy's just kicking their butt? I mean,
Yep.
that speed is really all I can think of as an analogy as a comparison to what Jared Stidham is facing. Let me just give you another fact. 6 guys have been in this situation where they made their first NFL start of the season in the playoffs, and they are combined 1-5. So
Oh,
I think that tells you a lot about, the task facing Jared Stidham. If you're looking for some positives as a Bronco fan, well, they wear number 2 and they wear number 15. And if you're going to put all your money in the basket of Patrick Surtain and in the basket of Nick Benito, then these are the guys that you're going to have to rely on, right? You're going to have Nick Benito have a couple sacks and a strip sack. Pat Surtain's going to have an interception, or, Marvin Mims is going to have to return a punt. You're not going to beat the Patriots Sunday in a conventional one-on-one game because Drake May, who gets no credit for whatever reason, I think people are just waiting for this guy to become a fraud. I don't think he's a fraud. I mean, he's an MVP candidate. He's a finalist for that award. I mean, he's playing under Tom Brady's shadow. I mean, is there any bigger shadow than that, than of the great Tom Brady? I mean, you talk about a guy with some pressure. I mean, as excited as Denver is, the entire city of Boston and New England, the whole country up there, thinks that Drake May is going to lead the Patriots to the Super Bowl. So, as much as I'm a Bronco fan, I mean, I'm born and raised in Denver. I'm paid to be an NFL journalist, and as much as I'm trying to psych myself up and convince myself, I mean, I can only imagine what the Broncos would think if we were going to Fox, or we were going up to to play New England, and we were playing Joshua Dobbs today, their backup quarterback. I think we'd be licking our chops and making our
sure.
Super Bowl reservations. So, I mean, there's a reason the Patriots are favored in the game by 4.5 points. I think it would have been a very good game if Bo Nix would have played. I still think that it would have been a very tight ball game. But boy, I see it as a very difficult task for the Denver Broncos to come out of this game victorious Sunday with a guy who just isn't probably ready for the moment.
This is a little bit of a different take that you're giving me than the last journalist I brought on. The vibes, it seems to be mixed in Denver, and that was my next question: is when you guys won, the moment of euphoria that hit, believing, all right, this exact squad is going to the AFC Championship. We just beat Josh Allen. We put the Bills to bed. This was supposed to be his year, and we stole it, whatever. And then 5 minutes later, probably 5 total minutes is how long that euphoria lasted before you heard the news that Bo Nix was out. Walk me through your feelings, your immediate response.
My immediate response is we're screwed. I mean, that we're done. I mean, my immediate response is the season's over. And I think that whether they want to admit that or not, I think that's probably a fair response, right? I mean, imagine, whether you name the quarterback, whether it's Stafford, May, Nix, or, or Sam Darnold, any of one of those guys, it goes out. I mean, imagine their feeling, that they're done. And I think that the two teams that have the chance of dealing with that kind of thing best are the Seahawks and the Broncos, because their defenses are insane. And the one good thing about an insane defense is they can take their level of play up above maybe what the norm is. But I can tell you how I felt all week. I've just been sick. I mean, I've been disgusted. There's a pit in my stomach that this is not the game I wanted to see, right? I wanted to see Bo Nix first straight May, right? Both of these guys in the 24 draft class. I mean, maybe this is the next rivalry. I think that, this would be a great rivalry and will be for the future. But, I think it's just a darn shame. And one thing, and keep this under your hats, because this is some breaking news, okay?
Oh.
And I'm not going to, this is a little speculation on my part, but it comes with some real hard, cold facts. Do not rule out Bo Nix for the Super Bowl. And let me just tell you, the fracture was a very small hairline fracture. It's a fracture that he's injured that ankle before in the same place. And a very intelligent orthopedic friend of mine told me that the guy who did the surgery over there in Alabama is one of the best, and that they didn't put him on IR. Now the Broncos had the choice to put Bo Nix on season-ending IR and add another player to the roster for this game. They chose not to do that. It's a very strange move. Now think about that for a minute. Why wouldn't you want to get yourself another receiver or another guy who could play in the game? This isn't just a feel-good story. I think they feel that there's an outside chance that Bo Nix could actually play in the Super Bowl. Now I'm breaking some news that probably hasn't been broken yet, and I don't want to be throwing out that is some kind of a guarantee. But let's not rule that out, and let's not think that that's not in the back. I think there's some people who feel that. And other breaking news, I don't know about J.K. Dobbins, but I have seen him on the practice field, and he is running full speed. J.K. Dobbins today looked extremely good. I would say there's a very good chance that you might get to see this guy. I wouldn't have guessed this for $1 million. I thought that they were opening his window, and you still may hear later in the day that he isn't playing. I mean, just because somebody looks good running up and down doesn't necessarily mean they're medically cleared to play. But I can tell you with the plantar fascia injury he suffered, I thought he was walking around the stadium after the divisional playoff win, talking to fans and saying, hey, I'm going to be back. I'm going to be back. And I think everybody just assumed he meant the Super Bowl. But boy, with Jarrett Stidham's injury, one of the other things I think that evens this game quite a bit up is a good running game. And nothing would be better for the Broncos than Dobbins being available for 8 to 10 carries. He's the guy that can definitely help. I mean, you want to keep Drake May and the Patriots offense off the field as much as possible, because I'll be real honest with you, that the offense, the Patriots are playing some really good football right at the right time. And, as I said, removing the orange colored goggles, I could definitely see that you're going to need a J.K. Dobbins. And how inspirational would that be for Dobbins just to suit up, but he's going to have to be effective, right? I mean, the number one thing is these feel-good stories last about 5 minutes, right? The Jarrett Stidham thing, the J.K. Dobbins, any of these guys, that lasts until somebody gets popped in the mouth, right? And then at that point, that's over with, right? And now how effective can they be when they rejoin the team? But it's all hands on deck. Every Denver Bronco player, other than Bo Nix, practiced yesterday for the first time, I would say, since week 1.
Okay, so a lot to unpack there. We'll go back to the beginning real quick. You said this is not breaking news. You don't want to be the guy that breaks a story, but you're saying, hypothetically, because they didn't put him on IR and because the doctor, very, very well known, renowned surgeon in Alabama who did Bo Nix surgery, you're saying there is a real shot that Bo Nix could play in the Super Bowl if they win.
Well, I think that we just have to look at it logistically. Somebody who had a serious fracture, a compound fracture, maybe he wouldn't be ready till training camp, would immediately go on IR. And remember, they don't just have one game to play, they have two. So you're going to want that roster spot for a guy who, whatever position you feel, because you lost your starting quarterback, you're not going to leave that roster spot open for him so he can sit on the sideline and wear a Burger King crown, so that he can feel this isn't the Little League participation. This is the National Football League. Every roster spot counts. And so it's puzzling to me. It's perplexing why you would not that would be the first move. And George Payton is a savvy guy, right? So that would be the first thing they would have done. The only reason I can think of for holding that guy out and not putting him on IR is you think there's an outside shot that he can play in the Super Bowl. And he's the ultimate competitor. One thing you can say about Nick, regardless of where you sit with him, as where he sits in the NFL's pecking order, you cannot argue that he is a very strong competitor. Look at his fourth quarter magic, and that guy, I find it, if he has any chance of playing in that football game, he will be out there on Super Bowl Sunday should the Broncos win this game Sunday.
Good to know. Last question, then I'll let you go. Was it a catch?
Ooh, I'm going to say this. I do think it was an interception because of the way that the ball came out. And I do think that this firmly is based on where you live in the country. If you live in Buffalo, New York, that is a catch no matter what I say, and that will always be a catch, and it will never not be a catch. If you live in Denver, Colorado, that will always be an interception. It will never not be an interception. And isn't that the way sports really is, right? It is that territorial. If I'm a Buffalo Bills guy, I'm apoplectic right now. And I'm thinking I'm the most cursed franchise in the history of sports. Look at everything that's happened to that team ever since Scott Norwood. I mean, that may be the most cursed, but I think the owner also went way too far. I mean, come on, you're the owner of the organization. You fire your coach. I mean, I thought it was a complete soap opera. And you know what? Josh Allen's 5 turnovers, the Bills' 5 turnovers probably had as much to blame. But if you had to ask me to take a lie detector test as to whether that's a catch or not, I'm going to refuse the test. I'm a Broncos fan.
All right, so for someone like me who lives in Southern California, who had relatively zero skin on that game,
sure,
would you say that I'm leaning more towards interception or catch? Probably catch because of the geographic region connection of Midwest to California?
I would say this. Because there's a California connection, and I lived in Cali for a long time in my life, there is a little anti-Broncos sentiment there. I mean, there just is. That's it. I mean, a lot of Chargers games, a lot of Raiders games. I think that the Broncos probably are not the favorite team. They're not a favorite son in California. I think Buffalo is just a very neutral team that's never done anything. They've never won anything. So I think it's easier to root for Buffalo. So I could see more people saying that was a catch than people. And I think a lot of people have the sentiment that they wanted Josh Allen to win the Super Bowl this year. So I would say I'm okay with anybody who says it was a catch, but you'll never get that out of me or anybody here in the Mile High City.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Joe, for your time. Pulling for you guys, pulling for Broncos country. If you do advance to the Super Bowl and Bo Nix does play, it will be because of your incredible foresight and ball knowledge. So congrats again. And folks, we are back for our final interview of the day. It is just Broncos mania for me today. I'm getting the full dose of Broncos country right to the teeth, joined by Justin Adams from CBS in Denver. Justin, thank you so much for coming on. Fired up to have you.
Henry, anytime that I could be on your show and in the closet of my station just lets me know that I feel like Jarrett Stidham right now. I'm just waiting for my shot, okay? That's what I'm here for today.
Dude, I love everyone in Denver is like so used to like just these like, okay, like we're on. I guess, Bo Nix is done. Okay, next man up.
Yeah.
Okay, fine, we'll record in the closet. Like everyone is just so cool with just the immediate, tight, quick turnarounds, and I love that.
Yeah, yeah. It is interesting because the way that everyone found out about Bo Nix's injury was so different no matter who you are. It was just, I mean, I was in Wyoming of all places doing play by play for a women's basketball game. My grandfather from St. Louis called me and said, "Hey, congratulations on the win. You guys are going to win the Super Bowl now." And I'm like, "Why not? Your quarterback's injured." Man, I'm on the highway in Wyoming, man. I could have took out all the deer and antelope over there, okay? I was I couldn't believe it. So, to say the least, we're shocked, but we're hopeful that Jarrett Stidham can pull through.
That's been my favorite question to ask all Denver media so far. Is just like what you were doing, where you were, and how you felt. Because I mean, the euphoria to just pure like confusion and pain. Like it must have been an emotional roller coaster. You guys win. You beat Josh Allen. You knock him out. This was supposed to be Josh Allen's year, which Denver just stole it. They won the game. They sent him home. And then you're like, you don't even get 5 minutes to celebrate that before it's Bo Nix is done for the year.
Yeah,
What?
you get 5.5. Yeah, you get 5.5, Henry. That's how it works here in Colorado. You don't get the full 5. No, it was one of those where you look around and like, what the heck is going on? And you find out about the injury, and then you try to make sure that it's real. I mean, even to the point where Peyton Manning was texting people within the Broncos to say, "Wait, did this really happen?" And so it's an injury that you deal with, but it's the reality of what this team is. Number one, you want to see Bo Nix back healthy next year, especially for training camp. You want to see him. And I think the questions that anyone in Denver had about is he your franchise quarterback or is this his team is done. And if you want to fast forward quickly, remember that Russell Wilson contract is going to come off the books next year. So what you look at, I said, hey, we need some more wide receivers, might need some more defensive help, need some more depth. You could be able to go and get all that taken care of through free agency, especially for the next 2 years.
Right.
But with this game coming up right now, the reality is that this is still winnable, but there is a path, and the path is not going to be a beautiful game. It's going to be a very ugly game, kind of like what these last two teams played in the last AFC Championship game. So
Right.
it's still winnable, but it's going to be interesting to see how the Broncos get it done.
Okay, so I heard a rumor. Obviously, you can shut this down quickly, but I won't name the source. But somebody told me that the Broncos did not put Bo Nix on the IR. And there is a real possibility because of his surgery apparently went really well. It's a renowned surgeon in Alabama that took care of it.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a possibility that Bo Nix can play in the Super Bowl if they win?
Yeah, there's a possibility that I could join in and play football too. I'm 40 years old and haven't played football in 20 years. So there's always that possibility that it can happen. I mean, look, you want to give me that check, I'll be out there on the field right now. I think there's a better possibility that I will be on the field than Bo Nix will be on the field for the rest of the season. I'll put it that way. Now, nothing's official, right? And usually what happens are moves are made at the end of the week, right? So you can find out, okay, who you're going to get back from IR and put back on the team, who's not going to dress out, who is. And you don't have to have that official designation until later on in the week. So I would imagine by, say, midday today being Friday, you'll see Bo Nix being on IR. Again, I would imagine, wouldn't surprise me, but I would imagine you will see him on IR. I would also imagine you will see J.K. Dobbins be in the lineup too, be questionable, as well as a guy like Luke Wattenberg, your center, be questionable to play. So those are some big moves that could possibly happen for the Broncos, and they need everybody that can get in order to beat New England in this one.
Okay, so that is the one constant. Is from the other source. He did mention that J.K. Dobbins is poised to make a sneaky return, and so you believe that.
I do believe that he will be. Now, how effective will he be is a total different question, right? Because this is his first game that he had since the Broncos played the Raiders, I believe, in Week 10. So it's going to be a while. And you're also coming back from a broken foot or Liz Frank, whatever you want to call it, man. Your foot's not right. Let's put it that way, okay? And you had surgery on that too. So, hopefully he could be effective. Hopefully he has that burst. He could be able to hit holes and be able to help out this Broncos offense because at the end of the day, no matter how highly you think of Jarrett Stidham, if you don't have a running game, you will not win this game.
Yeah. And that's my next question, I guess, is like explain this to someone who's not a Denver fan, someone who's not maybe super knowledgeable on football.
Yeah.
Probably we'll call this person a casual or a 5-year-old. Why can the Broncos win this game with Jarrett Stidham?
Because of their defense. Their defense has been giving up 21 points a game ever since the bye week. And so once they came back, now there are several different places where they do leak a little bit. Even against Buffalo last week, right? They gave up 30 points, could have gave up a little bit more, but their defense forced 5 turnovers. You look on the opposite side with Drake May in the 2 playoff games that he's played so far, he's fumbled the ball 6 times.
Right.
And that's not something you could do. And remember, one turnover could change everything completely. So, what's the best friend of any type of quarterback? The best friend is a strong run game, getting the ball to your tight end, and then making those key 3rd down and 5 decisions to be able to go and get it to your top tier wide receivers. Well, you have a Cortland Sutton who could be able to go and catch the ball, right? You have Evan Ingram who hasn't been utilized a lot, but this is the game that you got him for to be able to utilize him. He's the tight end for the Broncos. And then J.K. Dobbins, if he's able to go and give you 10 carries, that's a great thing. You also have I want to say Freeman, that's not his name, but I'm thinking of the rookie running back as well for the Broncos. But you have other guys, too, that could be able to go and run the football. At the end of the day, this is going to come down to whether Sean Payton is going to be okay with running the rock. What running the football does is it allows you to chew up all the play clock, shorten the game. You want to make it as ugly as possible, and then win it in the fourth quarter. And frankly, that's been the formula for the Broncos all year, just finding ways to be able to win.
It's ironic because Stidham's a pretty handsome guy, but you're saying the key to success today is to win ugly, to win gross, and just play yucky Broncos football.
Yeah, we're not in a beauty contest, okay? We're look at it. We're in a shed, for goodness sake. But look at there's papers around here, okay? That's where we're at. The game needs to look like where we're doing this interview from, okay? That's the way the game has to look like, okay?
For sure. For sure. Yeah, I know it's obviously not it's not a postcard, it's a scorecard. So
That's right.
I feel like I feel like that's been the theme with the Broncos all year. And I'm an LA, I live in Los Angeles. I'm a Bay Area sports fan living in Los Angeles. So I guess I'm in enemy territory. But I'm used to flashy, like no defense, a lot of scoring. I'm used to postcards. And I think one thing that's been hard for football fans across the country to grasp at is just how good this Denver team is because
Yeah.
of their defense.
Yeah.
So you're saying, get ready to speak yucky, gross, low scoring football if that's the case. Is that really what makes is their defense just so dominant that they really can win this with Jarrett Stidham?
I won't say so dominant. I will say they have a chance to be dominant in this game. Their edge rushers, Nick Bonito and Jonathan Cooper, have to get home. John
Yeah.
Franklin Myers, who is one of the defensive tackles, he has to go and be able to get home. I think this game really comes down to Zach Allen, too, because Zach Allen is your other D tackle. He gets a lot of quarterback hits, had 8 hits last week on Josh Allen. He needs to go get a lot of quality hits to be able to go and really get this pass rush going for the Broncos, who, led the NFL in sacks. That's very, very important. But the number one thing they have to do is you got to stop the run. If you don't stop the run, it doesn't matter. And New England has 2 really good running backs. If you could slow those guys down and make this a game where it's a second-year quarterback, albeit Drake May has played fantastic this season, could be the MVP. But if you can make him look like a second-year quarterback against another guy who's only started 4 games, then you should really have a great opportunity to be able to go and win this one. But this is going to be, think about this for Drake May for a moment. The first 2 playoff games that he's had have been at home. He's never played a playoff game on the road. And let's even go back to college. What's the toughest environment that you played in? Death Valley at Clemson? Okay. Really good environment, but it's different when you're talking about playing at elevation and playing
Right.
against 76,000 crazy fans. That's a huge difference. So it's another reason why for the Broncos, you got to get off to a quick start and make it as difficult as possible for Drake May. And understand this is that pipes, they do burst when you put a lot of pressure on them. Put a lot of pressure on Drake May and see what happens in this ballgame.
Okay, pipes. Good to know. I do have one request, and that is on behalf of most people in America who do not have direct access to Denver sports and the Broncos at large. What is something you can tell any viewer that we might not know about Jarrett Stidham?
Wow. I think it's all came out earlier this week, but Jarrett Stidham's really just a truly normal, average guy. Really great attitude, and there's a reason why he's getting paid $6 million this year. Usually, backups don't get paid that much. But I thought one thing that was really interesting that he's talked about this week was that how badly he wanted everything to be just as normal as possible, to the point that he went to Target with his family this week on Monday. Went through Target and everything, walked around the aisles and everything, just going to do shopping. And when reporters asked, "Okay, wait, Jared, did anybody recognize you?" He said, "No, it was 100% incognito. Nobody recognized me at all. Trust me, after this week and after Sunday, everyone will know Jarrett Stidham." And Henry, the hope is this, and I know there's guys who are saying, Jarrett Stidham won't be traded no matter what happens. I think the hope is this: is that Jarrett Stidham does so well in this game, and if you're a Bronco fan, in the Super Bowl, that he's no longer on the roster next year because he's traded, because another quarterback hungry team sees his performance and say, we got to go get this guy. We got to go give up a second round pick, a first round pick, or whatever round pick in order to go and grab him and sign him to a bigger deal. So this is not only a big deal for all of Broncos country and the Broncos at one point, but this is truly a generational moment for Jarrett Stidham. He could have generational money if he does well in these next two games.
So obviously the biggest game of his life, no
Yes.
doubt.
Yes. Yeah, in his family's life, and all the fans in Target, all their lives too. I mean, you could buy a whole lot of different things, a lot of clothes from Target if you could go get a W in the next couple of games.
That's interesting that he was just walking around Target. I would have thought the second Bo Nix went down, like Jarrett Stidham gets this designated survivor treatment, like Mr. President, Mr. President, we've lost. You are now the most important person in Denver. Wow. They just let him go be free. Go be a horse.
But yeah, pretty much. Isn't that what you want though? You want him to be free. Like you want a guy who has only played or started rather in 4 games to be as free as possible. I mean, yeah, Jarrett Stidham's 29. He understands the system. Everybody likes him. Was supposed to be the heir apparent to Tom Brady, but this is your chance. And Henry, this is kind of one thing in life, setting all jokes aside for a moment.
Sure.
We all get a chance. We all get an opportunity to make our dreams come true. Sometimes you get multiple chances. For Jarrett Stidham, this is his shot. Like, this is legitimate shot to be able to go and change the trajectory of his career. The number one thing, though, that I want to see from him is play within yourself. Don't try to say, I got to win this game on my own. You have other guys on the roster that have been able to get you to this point this season. You have a defense you could be able to rely on. Let's be honest, Bo Nix relied on this defense for the majority of this season. You could be able to do the same. Get you to a point where you could be able to make this a one-possession game within 2 minutes, 5 minutes to go, and give yourself a chance at home to be able to go and beat the New England Patriots. And then you think about that. If you get past this, then you're just 60 minutes away from putting a ring on that finger. That's the way you have to think about this opportunity. So I think for Jarrett Stidham, this is your chance. When a play is there to be made, make that play. But other than that, keep this game as tight, as close as possible. Try to stay on top of New England. Make them make the mistakes, because more games are lost than actually won in the NFL.
Wow. Can't top more than that. I will let you go on those amazing words of wisdom. Justin, thank you so much for your time today. And obviously, just like Jarrett Stidham, you are ready to roll wherever, whenever, and whyever.
I'm also, I really appreciate it, because, you got to make sure you get the pins, a couple of sheets and everything as well. I'm ready. Whatever needs to get done, I'm ready for whatever has to happen. So we'll see how it all goes on Sunday.
You're the man. Thank you so much. Would love to have you back on. If Stidham pulls it off and we're in Broncos country, let's ride mode, you're coming back on. Otherwise, please enjoy the room you're in.
Hey, Henry, whenever you need me, let me know. I won't be in here next time. I'll put it that way. All right. We'll be in a better background.
Awesome. Thank you, Justin. Appreciate you.